If you believe that working hard will eventually make everything worth it, I need you to listen carefully, because that belief shaped my entire life. And it's the reason I'm speaking to you now, not to impress you, not to sound wise, but because I'm 78 years old, and I can finally see what that belief quietly took from me while I was too busy proving myself to notice. I'm 78 years old, and for most of my life, I did exactly what I was told was right, what was praised, what was rewarded, and what American culture has celebrated for generations, which is working harder, staying longer, sacrificing now so that someday later, things would finally slow down and feel meaningful. I didn't grow up thinking about happiness or fulfillment or balance, because where I came from, those weren't the goals. Stability was, respect was, and providing was, and from a very young age I learned that the safest way to earn those things was to work harder than everyone else and never complain about the cost. So I did. I worked late when everyone else went home. I took on responsibility before I was ready. I tied my sense of worth to productivity. And I told myself that exhaustion was temporary, that stress was the price of ambition, and that once I reached the next level, things would finally feel worth it. And for a long time, that story seemed true, because the world rewards effort in visible ways, with promotions, titles, praise, and the quiet approval that comes when people see you as reliable, disciplined, and successful, even when they don't see what that success is costing you behind the scenes. By my 30s, I was already considered successful, and by my 40s, I was admired, not because I was fulfilled, but because I was busy, because I was always needed, and because my life looked solid from the outside, which made it easy to ignore the parts of me that were slowly being neglected. I told myself that relationships could wait, that rest could wait, that curiosity could wait, and that life would open up once the hard part was over, without realizing that the hard part doesn't announce when it ends. It just keeps expanding until it becomes your entire life. The first time I realized something was wrong wasn't dramatic, and it wasn't tragic. And that's exactly why it was dangerous, because nothing broke, nothing collapsed, and nothing forced me to stop, which allowed me to keep going long after I should have questioned where I was headed. I remember sitting at my desk one evening, long after the building had emptied, looking at work I had already completed, and feeling an unfamiliar sense of emptiness. Not burnout exactly, but a quiet question I didn't know how to answer, which was why I was still doing this when I could no longer remember what it was all for. But instead of listening to that question, I did what I had always done, which was work harder. Because in a culture like ours, slowing down feels irresponsible, and questioning your direction feels like weakness, especially when everyone around you is measuring success by output, not by meaning. I ignored it. I kept telling myself that once I earned enough, once I secured the future, once I reached the point where I had made it, everything else would fall into place naturally, without effort, without attention, and without cost. What no one tells you is that work doesn't just take your time. It slowly trains you to postpone yourself, to delay your needs, and to believe that the most important parts of life are something you are supposed to access later, once you've proven you deserve them. Years passed quickly that way, not because life was exciting, but because routine compresses time, and before I knew it, the people I loved had grown distant, not because we didn't care, but because I was always tired, always busy, and always planning to be more present later. I missed dinners without realizing I was missing them. I postponed conversations assuming there would always be another chance, and I treated my health like something that could be fixed later, as if the body keeps score but never collects. The moment that finally forced me to stop came in a hospital room, not with panic, but with silence, when a doctor explained to me calmly and professionally that my body had been under stress for far longer than I realized, and that while nothing catastrophic had happened yet, the warning signs were no longer subtle. Lying there, surrounded by machines quietly doing their work, I realized something deeply unsettling, which was that if my life ended there, the evidence of all my hard work would be scattered across offices, bank statements and accomplishments that would quickly be forgotten, while the moments that actually mattered were the ones I had postponed until later. I thought about the conversations I never finished, the friendships that faded because I was always busy, and the version of myself that existed before work became my identity. And for the first time, it became clear that working hard had not failed me financially, but it had failed me humanly. That's when I understood the most dangerous part of the belief I had lived by, which is that hard work guarantees a meaningful life, when in reality, hard work only guarantees output, and meaning requires presence, attention, and choices that can't be postponed indefinitely. I watched colleagues retire only to feel lost without the structure that had defined them. I attended funerals where people were praised for their dedication, but remembered vaguely as individuals, and I saw how easily a life can be filled with achievement while remaining strangely empty of connection. The regret that follows a life like that isn't loud or dramatic. It's quiet and persistent, showing up in moments when you finally slow down and realize there's nothing left to distract you from the truth. If you're listening to this and telling yourself that your situation is different, that you're only working hard for now, that you'll make time later, understand that this belief is incredibly convincing precisely because it feels responsible, logical, and socially acceptable. That time doesn't reward intention, it only reflects action. And every year you spend postponing what matters is a year you don't get back once you finally understand what you've been trading away. I'm not telling you to quit your job or reject ambition or stop working hard, because effort itself isn't the problem. Avoidance is, and when work becomes a way to avoid asking deeper questions about who you are and what you want, it slowly consumes the space where meaning is supposed to grow. If I could speak to my younger self, I wouldn't tell him to work less. I would tell him to stop believing that effort alone justifies everything else, and to start paying attention to what he was sacrificing without questioning. Because one day, whether through exhaustion, illness, or simple aging, the pace will slow down whether you want it to or not. And when it does, the only thing that will matter is whether you built a life you can actually recognize when the noise fades. I'm 78 years old now, and I don't regret working hard, but I do regret believing that hard work would automatically make life worth living, because meaning doesn't arrive at the end of effort. It's created along the way in moments you choose to be present instead of productive. So if you take anything from this, let it be this: work hard if you must, but don't confuse motion with progress, and don't sacrifice the parts of your life that can't be replaced for goals that will never fully satisfy you. Because in the end, what you'll wish you had more of won't be money, titles, or recognition. It will be time, energy, and the relationships you assumed would always be there once work was done, and work is never done.